I just made 12.8% on my $1,000 and got $128 in a couple of minutes. Now, how did I do this? I did this with one word, and this word has been very scary. This word has scared me as a relatively new investor over the past 3-4 years. And this word is a word that I've been avoiding, or not avoiding, but at least I've had a lackadaisical approach to try to be able to really understand deeply. And some of you may feel the same. And that word is options. Yes, not just buying a stock, not just selling a stock, but options. Playing around with the calls and the puts and the this and the that with options. Options are complicated. I am by no means an expert in understanding everything and all the nuances of options, but there are some strategies that are so incredibly basic and that are bullish, which means you don't have to be betting against the market, that are primarily very simple if you are long a stock, which is the one I want to go over today, that it's so simple to understand and it's kind of so simple to do, even on Robinhood, which is what I did it on today, that after learning it and after really getting it and just like putting your head down and understanding 2 + 2 = 4, this is how it works. And maybe you don't get it fully after this video. Maybe you have to watch a couple more times. Maybe you have to watch some other videos. But I think it is relatively simple to understand. And after I've learned it, I was like, okay, I don't know everything about options. I can't do the riskiest things in the world with options, especially because I don't really want to take on all that risk. But I can do some things that can still get me a return in this crappy economy and be aligned with my long-term interests on the stocks that I care about. So how did I get 12.8% on $1,000 getting to $128? And I'm going to show some screenshots in a second, kind of show the move I made. But what ultimately did I do? I wrote cash secured puts. Now, when people think of the word put when it comes into options or investing, they think of something bearish, because when you're buying puts on something, that means if the stock goes down, you make money. It's not as intricate and nuanced as actually shorting a stock, but it is betting that a stock goes down. So if you bought puts on Netflix when it was $500, and when it collapsed down to, was it 190 at the lows or something like that, you made a lot of money, right? Because you were betting that the stock would ultimately go down. If you were shorting it, you probably even made even more money. If you buy calls on a stock like Leaps, if the stock goes from 100 to 500, usually these are long-term option calls, you make money because you're bullish on the stock. There is a way to sell puts on a stock which is bullish, not bearish, even though the word puts is associated with bearish, and I'll explain why in a second, and still be able to generate a return on your money and be long a stock. So this is what a cash secured put is. If you buy if you write, which means you're selling, whenever I say the word write, it means you're selling cash secured puts, you're not buying. If you're buying them, that means you're bearish. If you're selling them, that means you are bullish. Well, first let me go through the move I made, and then I'll explain like the actual logic of it. So this is what I did. I did it on Palantir. I sold Palantir $5 puts that are going to expire on August 18th, 2023. And as a result of that, I got $128 off the 2 contracts that I bought. Or sorry, that I sold. I keep messing up those words. That I see, very novice, but still, that I sold when it comes to cash secured puts. Now, what does this mean? In layman's terms, before I break it down, I am giving Robinhood, my brokerage, $1,000 of collateral. Okay, how did I get that number 1,000? I bought 2 contracts. In one contract, there are 100 shares. If you ever buy a contract, when it comes to options, there's 100 shares included. So if you buy 2 contracts, 2 times 100 is 200. Okay, now I sold $5 puts. That means, where do we get the 1,000 from? $5 times 200 shares. 5 times 200 gives me 1,000. So I have to give $1,000 to Robinhood as collateral that I will get back on August 18th, 2023, potentially. Here is where the trade comes in. I am basically saying that I don't think Palantir will be $5 on August 18th, 2023, which is almost a year from now. I don't think that's going to happen. As a result of me saying I don't think it's going to happen, I get a premium, which means someone on the other side that thinks it is going to happen. Remember, in a market, there are buyers and sellers. There are winners and losers, right? There's always someone on the opposite side of the trade. There's someone on another side of the market that says, actually, I think Palantir is definitely going to be $5 by August 18th, 2023. And now, whatever reasons they have or whatever reasons they have, whatever reasons I have are the reasons I have, but nonetheless, we disagree. As a result, I am saying, all right, if Palantir is $5 on August 18th, 2023, I will give you these $1,000 and I will reserve the right to buy them at that $5 price. Meaning if Palantir is $5.03, I do not have to buy the Palantir shares on August 18th, 2023. How many shares? 200. 2 contracts, 100 times 2, 200 shares, 200 times 5, $1,000. That's why I'm putting that money up as collateral, because I have to have that $1,000 in my bank no matter what, or in my brokerage, if Palantir is at least $5 or below on August 18th, 2023. But I don't think that's going to happen. As a result of that, I'm putting up that $1,000, and because I'm putting up that $1,000, I'm taking a bit of risk, right? Because I'm lending away that $1,000, or I'm keeping it up into collateral, which means I get a premium. I get a premium for giving away that money in the beginning, and that premium is something that I get to keep. That $128 that I got, that 12.8% return on my $1,000 is mine forever. I get to keep that money. That's my money. How did I get 128? Because the options was paying me 64 cents per share in premium. So you do that times 200, you get $128 of option premium. And that's what it's called. It's called a premium. You get a premium when you sell cash secured puts. Now, if Palantir is $5 or below, let's say it's $4 on August 18, 2023, that means I will be assigned those shares. That means I will kind of have lost my bet, and I will have to buy those shares no matter what. That's why I put up that $1,000 as collateral, because Robinhood's like, look, if it drops below 5, someone's got to buy them. And if you're going to participate in this trade, we got to make sure you buy them, especially if we're giving you this premium. So let's say Palantir is $4 on August 18, 2023. $4 times 200 shares means the value of those 200 shares that day, 4 times 200, would be $800. However, I am reserving the right to buy them no matter what at $5 if they get to that $5 price, which means if it's below $5, the person on the other side of the trade ultimately wins, because now my $1,000 that I put up has to be executed, and it will turn into $800 because the actual value, the market value of those shares at that moment will be 200 shares times $4, 200 shares times $4, which would be $800, which means I would have lost $200 off that 1,000. However, I get that premium. And what that premium does is it reduces my cost basis. So even though the Palantir share, let's say it's $4, even though I spent $1,000 because I bought them at $5 and it went down to $4, I got $128. So technically, my cost basis for those shares is $928, $800, that's the market value, plus the $128 that I got as premium, divided by those 200 shares, which is whatever number it turns out to be. So the beauty of selling a cash secured put, the concept around it, is that if you are bullish on a stock, which I am very bullish on Palantir, you want it at any price, and you're willing to put up the collateral to be able to buy that stock when it's time to buy that stock, even if it's below the strike price. So if Palantir is at $3 at that moment and I have to buy it at $5, I'm kind of okay with it, because I'm like, look, from $3 to $5, I think the stock's going to be $50 one day. So I really don't care at the end of the day. You know, it's not that big of a deal. If it's $4, $4.50, $4.95, I don't care. If it's $6, $7, then I don't have to deal with it. But if it's $5 or below, I think that's a phenomenal entry price, in my opinion, for Palantir. As a result of that, it's a subjective call on how bullish you are on a stock. Because if you're long a company and you're bullish for them and you have the money to put up as collateral, then that money can sit and it can be reserved. And then when it's time for that to be executed, if you are right and it's $6 instead of $5, I get to keep that premium. I get to keep that $128 for being bullish on a stock that I wanted to be bullish on, and I get my $1,000 back, which means I never had to buy those shares, and you got $128. I don't want to say for free, but basically for putting up the collateral and being correct on your assumption that the stock would not go below the strike price. If you're wrong, instead of losing your money, which what happens with traditional shorting and more advanced technical plays, you just buy the shares at the strike price, which means you'll lose some money, but your cost basis will be reduced because you have to factor into that premium, and you get to keep the shares. Like, you got some premium, which you could do whatever you want with the premium. Let's say I put this $128 and I bought a lottery ticket and I made $1 million, right? Like, there's obviously, I'm being hyperbolic here, but that $128 is your premium, that money you got for taking this risk. And if you lose this risk, if you're on the other side of the bet, you get to get the shares, which is, if you're bullish, a good thing at the end of the day, because you should want your shares. So this is one of the most interesting and unique strategies that I've learned about really over the past couple months. Shout out to GS Strategies, one of my friends on YouTube. He's helped me a lot to understand this stuff. But a cash secured put is basically saying, hey, I'm bullish on this stock. If this stock reaches this strike price at XYZ time, I would be happy to have it at that price. So instead of buying the shares right now at $6, I'm going to wait till they get to 5 because I would obviously love it at 5 if I love it at 6. And I'm going to get some premium in the meantime. And in the meantime, with that premium, I can do whatever I want. And if I'm wrong on my bet that it's not going to be at that price, then I just get to keep the premium. The person on the other side of that bet lost against me. But if I'm wrong, then my premium just factors in that I get to buy those shares and I get to reduce my cost basis and I get to have those shares at an even lower price than I would have if I bought them now. If I buy them at $6 right now, I'm paying $6. Palantir gets to $4, I'm still paying $5, which means it's still going to be lower than what it is right now outright buying those shares. And even though I'm losing some money, my cost basis is reduced because of that premium. And I still have shares at a lower price than I would have if I just buy them outright in the market right now. And on top of that, I get a premium for potentially having the chance to be right on this side of the trade and never have to buy those shares in the first place. But if I do buy those shares, I want those shares anyway. So that is what a cash secured put is. I hope that made sense. This is my first video actually trying to explain it and explain a live example of it. So I put up $1,000 that by August 18, 2023, Palantir will not be $5 or below. If it is, I'll happily buy it and I'll spend that $1,000 and the price will be whatever it is. And I'll factor that into my cost basis. By the way, my cost basis for Palantir is like $17. So it really doesn't matter if it's 5, 6, 4. Like I personally don't care. Like anything will reduce my cost basis, which is also why it makes a lot of sense to me. But this only makes sense if you're bullish long-term. If you're not bullish long-term, this is not going to make sense because you're not going to want to have the stock for the next 5, 10 years. And if I'm right, then I just get to keep the premium. Now, some people may be thinking, well, Amit, you have to give up your $1,000 for till August 18th. That's a long time you have to give it up for. The only reason I did this, and this is what tends to happen, is if on days where stock prices drop, so like yesterday or today, the day I'm recording this, Palantir dropped pretty badly, like 7, 8, 9%. And it was closer to $5 than it was any of the past couple of weeks. As a result, the premiums on puts were much higher because if it gets closer to $5, that strike price, your risk that you're taking on to buy or to sell that cash secured put is higher because you might get closer to the strike price quicker than not. So I was either going to buy June, or I was either going to sell June's cash secured puts or August cash secured puts. August gave me a higher premium. June was giving me 51 cents per share. August was giving me 64 cents per share. I was only betting $1,000. I was like, I can live with not seeing this $1,000 until August. If it was, like $9,000 until August, which was giving me like a $1,900, $1,500 premium, which was really nice, but I didn't want to let go of $9,000 till August, then I probably wouldn't have done it, right? Because I'm putting up more money. So if you're playing with a lot of money, you want to do a little bit more short term, even though your premium won't be that high on your puts because you don't want to have that money part with you for a while. Or maybe you do, right? It's up to you. If you can afford to if you have a big portfolio, you can say, I don't need to see this money for a long time, then you can do that. If you can't, then you make the decision accordingly. But I don't need to see that $1,000 until August. And if it gets executed, I get those shares and I get to reduce my cost basis. If it doesn't get executed, I get to keep that premium and ultimately get to make 12.8% on my money in an economy where it's really hard to get 12.8% on your money. So that is what a cash secured put is. Please do not do anything I did without having any understanding of what you're doing. Leave any questions in the comments. I'll try to answer them to my best of my ability. Don't do any of these trades if you don't fully get them. I did not write cash secured puts for like the past 3 months because it took me a while to understand it. And honestly, I was just lazy about understanding it. But finally, the past couple of days, I just like sat down and tried to understand it. And now I did it. But don't do it until you fully get it. When you fully get it, then do it, and do it in a very small manner so you just get used to doing it a little bit, and then you can probably dabble into it a little bit more. That's kind of how I'm doing it. I'm doing it in a very small way. So those are my thoughts. Hope you guys enjoyed. Thank you for listening and watching. Let me know any comments. Leave them in the questions. And let me know if any questions, leave them in the comments, and I'll see you on the next one.